They say you never really know the people living in your neighborhood until trouble comes knocking. And in my case, trouble didn't just knock. It showed up wearing fake badges, carrying fake authority, and thinking they could intimidate my family. It started like any other Saturday afternoon. My wife, Emily, was outside tending to her rose garden. Emily is gentle, kind, the type of woman who waves to every neighbor and remembers everyone's birthday. She wasn't looking for conflict, but conflict found her anyway. Two men pulled up in a black SUV with no license plates. They stepped out, wearing dark, tactical outfits, shiny badges clipped to their belts, and stern faces that screamed authority. "We're with HOA enforcement," one of them barked. "This lawn is in violation." "Step aside while we conduct our inspection." Emily, being polite but firm, responded, "You're not with the HOA. I've lived here long enough to know the president and the board members." "Who exactly are you?" That's when things escalated. Instead of answering, one of the fake cops shoved her shoulder. "Don't get smart with us, lady," he growled. Emily stumbled back but stood her ground. "I'm calling my husband," she said, pulling out her phone. That's when the unthinkable happened. The second man punched her across the face, hard. She hit the ground, clutching her cheek while the two men sneered. "Maybe now you'll learn some respect," one of them said. What they didn't know, what they couldn't possibly imagine, was who her husband really was. "See, my name is Jack. I'm not just some guy who works a 9-to-5 job and mows his lawn on weekends. I'm a former U.S. Navy SEAL. 15 years of combat deployments, counterterrorism raids, and survival under the harshest conditions the world could throw at me. And if there's one thing the Navy SEALs taught me, it's this. You never, ever touch my family." I came home just in time. As I pulled into the driveway, I saw Emily on the ground, bruised and shaking, and two men towering over her. Something inside me snapped. I stepped out of my truck, calm but cold. "Hey," I said, my voice low and steady. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." The men turned, smirking. "Oh yeah? And who are you supposed to be?" I didn't answer. My fists did. The first man lunged at me, throwing a wild punch. I sidestepped, grabbed his wrist, twisted, and dropped him with a single move SEALs call a joint lock. He screamed as his arm bent the wrong way. The second man tried to tackle me, but I buried a knee into his ribs, followed by an elbow to the side of his skull. He hit the ground and didn't get back up. Emily looked up at me with tears in her eyes. "Jack, they hit me." I helped her up, my blood boiling. "Don't worry, sweetheart. This isn't over. They wanted a fight. They just picked the wrong family." What I didn't know yet was why they had come, who had sent them, and how deep this conspiracy actually went. Because as I checked their SUV, I found something that made my stomach churn. Forged HOA documents, fake warrants, and a list of target homes. And ours was just the beginning. I called the sheriff's department immediately, but deep down, I knew this wasn't going to be a simple call it in and let the cops handle it situation. These guys weren't just random thugs. They had resources, they had forged paperwork, and they had a mission. And someone, somewhere, was pulling the strings. Emily sat on the couch, holding an ice pack to her cheek. "Jack, what if they come back?" I looked at her, my jaw tight. "Then they'll regret ever setting foot on our property." But I wasn't about to just wait around. Navy SEALs are trained to be proactive, not reactive. I started digging. I spoke to a few neighbors, and sure enough, they'd seen the same SUV circling the block the past few weeks. One neighbor even admitted he was approached by the same fake HOA cops, demanding money to avoid violations. Extortion, fraud, assault. This wasn't just personal anymore. This was organized crime hiding behind the mask of an HOA. That night, I went back to the SUV I'd disabled earlier. I searched deeper. Inside, I found burner phones, tactical gear, and messages from someone they referred to as the chairman, the HOA president. It all clicked. Our HOA president, a power-hungry woman named Karen, had apparently hired these fake enforcers to intimidate residents into paying fines that didn't even exist. And when Emily stood up to them, they tried to make an example of her. They had no idea who they were messing with. I set up surveillance around my house. Drones, cameras, motion detectors, the same gear I'd used overseas, now protecting my own backyard. And sure enough, 2 nights later, they came back. But this time, I was ready. The moment their SUV pulled up, floodlights snapped on. I stepped out of the shadows, dressed in black tactical gear, my face calm but deadly serious. "Round 2?" I asked. They hesitated. One muttered, "It's him again." The first man charged. Big mistake. I disarmed him in seconds, sending his own baton flying. The second pulled a knife. I twisted his wrist until he dropped it, then swept his legs from under him. Both men hit the dirt, groaning in pain. And that's when I heard the sheriff's sirens. I'd already tipped them off. By the time the sheriff's deputies arrived, the fake enforcers were zip-tied on my lawn, evidence laid out neatly for collection. The deputies looked at me, wide-eyed. "Jack, you basically did our job for us." "Just make sure justice is done," I said. And justice was done. The fake enforcers were arrested. The chairman, our HOA president, was exposed for running an extortion racket. The entire neighborhood rallied together, furious at how they'd been manipulated. Emily, though still shaken, stood tall, proud of what we had uncovered. As for me, I learned something important that night. Evil doesn't always come wearing masks and carrying weapons. Sometimes it comes in the form of authority, fake or real, that thinks it can't be challenged. But here's the truth. When you stand up for your family, when you refuse to bow to intimidation, you find strength you never knew you had. And if anyone out there thinks they can threaten my wife again, they'll find out exactly what a Navy SEAL husband is capable of.